Hi, guys, and welcome back to Porcupine Real Estate. We are here with the one and only Mark Warden. Welcome.
Hello to my one and only Carla Garrick friend. It's great to be back.
So we just did a video where we talked a little about these changes in the commissions that are coming July 15th. And we kind of went over how it is going to affect buyers. I want to shift gears, and folks can find that, of course, when they go to subscribe at the Porcupine Real Estate YouTube channel, but so they can find that first video. But for folks who are following along with this, let's talk a little bit about what happens with the seller. So, drop us in sort of quickly what happened, and then let's look at what happens with the seller.
Okay. Here at Porcupine Real Estate, we've had hundreds of transactions over the years, and we work both with home buyers and with home sellers. We do a ton of listings. And what is going to be one of the outcomes from this lawsuit, this national lawsuit against the NAR and some of the big brokerages like Coldwell Banker and Keller Williams and others, is a new rule change within all NAR, which is National Associated Realtor offices, and MLS systems. And what it's really going to do, it's not going to change how business is done in so much as it's going to change the conversations. So for the seller now, if we're a listing agent, we sit down with Mr. or Mrs. Seller looking to sell their property. When we discuss commissions, the way it used to be for the last decades typically was that the listing agent or the listing broker would have a certain percentage that the seller would pay. Could have been 4%, 6%, 5%. It's always been negotiable. Basically, that number would cover not only the listing agent's commission, but also the compensation for a buyer's agent. Basically, that was sort of a marketing expense to bring in more potential buyers, because buyer's agents would be compensated and they'd want to bring their prospective clients to see the house, to make offers, that sort of thing.
And so that really is an incentive, because the seller wants the best buyers to come to the house, right? So they're creating an incentive for buyers' agents to be like, you need to look at this house.
Exactly. But part of this lawsuit is that the offer of compensation to the buyer's agent can no longer be placed in MLS. It used to be visible there for agents to see how much was going to be paid to the buyer's agent. That's no longer allowed. However, it's a little bit nuanced, but the seller can still make these offers to buyer's agent. They can still offer to pay the buyer's agent commission, just like always. The difference is it won't be an MLS. So buyer's agents now are going to call the listing agent, say, hey, Mark, you have this great listing in Goffstown, for example. Is there a buyer's side commission available from the seller? And I'm going to say, sure. The seller agreed to pay whatever it is, 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever number was agreed upon by the seller. It just won't be an MLS. So it's going to lead to an extra conversation, an extra phone call between the buyer's agent and the listing agent.
So basically, the lawsuit somehow made things less transparent.
As we know from our experience in politics, there's always these unexpected, unintended consequences from new rules. But it's just a way of, it'll work out itself over time as people get more comfortable with the conversations. And the whole idea behind it is to be have more clarity, have set expectations up front, make sure that all parties really understand who's paying whom, and also to make sure that it's articulated and clear up front. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all want the consumers to be better informed and know what they're getting into up front.
So, and that makes sense to me, right? As we've talked about, a home purchase is often one of the biggest amounts of money you're ever going to spend. You want to be in good hands. You want to feel, loved and coveted while you're going through the process. But of course, everyone needs to get paid as well, because we are providing a service. And we've been providing a service with Porcupine Real Estate with a top-notch reputation for many, many years now here in New Hampshire. And so I think what anyone who's, working with us needs to know is we have your back. We're going to figure it out. We're going to make sure you get that great deal that you can get, because we are specialists really in the New Hampshire real estate market. You know, you've been doing this for such a long time. You know all the guys, you have the people you work with. So, you know, in the end, it's someone's going to get paid. Everyone's got to get paid. And really, I think this lawsuit is just sort of changing the way it's going to happen, but that no one needs to panic or worry. We have their back.
Thank you. That's well said. We're professionals. We're going to help our clients navigate this difficult and often confusing process. Another thing that's going to happen is that it may be called different things on how the seller can help out a buyer, because the seller wants to have as many potential buyer prospects come through the door as possible. And in many cases, particularly on the lower end of the price range, you're going to have first-time home buyers that can barely save up enough for the down payment. They're not going to have enough extra cash on hand to cover all their closing costs or their buyer's agent commission. So all this will be negotiable, even though it's not stipulated up front that the seller is going to pay the buyer side commission. That can be part of a negotiation. And it's not just price, but price and terms. So if an offer comes in with the right price and terms that would include paying some of the buyer's side commission, a seller may say, sure, that's great. I like their other terms about the contingencies. They have no home to sell. They're pre-qualified, but they need a little help with the down payment. So I, as a seller, will pay the commission, or maybe I'll offer what's called a seller concession, which means at the close of escrow, some of the seller's proceeds can be applied toward the buyer's closing costs. There are certain types of loan products out there for VA, USDA rural housing that are 0% down. And typically in those cases, the buyer doesn't have a whole lot of liquid cash. So they may need help from the seller to cover some of those closing costs to get to the finish line.
Okay, well, fantastic. I think that gives folks a sense that we all need to be talking and having those conversations, making sure everyone's on the right page, which of course you should be doing in maybe just in life in general. So it's a good rule of thumb that we're just applying across the board here in our professional lives as well. How can folks get a hold of you, Mark?
Best way is through our website at porcupinerealestate.com. We're also quite active on Facebook. We have a lot of engagement there, and that's at Porcupine Real Estate.
Okay, fantastic. And folks can find me at Carla at porcupinerealestate.com, or you can email us with questions or show suggestions or love mail or hate mail or whatever it is at info@Porcupine Real Estate. We will be back with one of our lenders to let us know how this will impact that market. So until then, thanks so much, guys.